right, 25 minutes before 11 o'clock. Yesterday it felt like summer, and I'm looking at the thermometer out there. It looks like it's a lot cooler today, and according to the weather report, it's going to get very cold tonight. It's just a roller coaster ride this year, I think, but we're not complaining too much. But the one thing that's probably for sure is that if you don't have an air conditioner slash heater or heat pump, then you're probably wishing you did, or maybe you got one that works or works halfway. And that is why we, on a regular basis, speak to somebody from Climate Control Mechanical Services. Today, John Schulte and Russ Ledbetter are in the studio. We will get to know them in just a little bit. And you are familiar with the name Climate Control because whenever we mention the phone number to call into the studio, we always mention their name because they actually sponsor our phone line. So we thank them for that. And we remind you that if you would like to call in with a question, that's the same number you would use right now. As we speak to John Schulte and Russ Ledbetter, the phone number is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, 622-9622. Let's talk about air conditioning now and heating, and maybe heating today more than air conditioning. Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good to see both of you. Nice to meet you.
Glad to be here.
Do you work in the same office as Brandon? Brandon was here last week.
Yeah. John is our senior technician. I'm actually the service manager for the commercial, residential, and installation department.
Is this a busy time or is this a lull right now?
Right now, unfortunately, it's a lull.
It's a lull.
It's not cold enough or warm enough.
Oh, okay, but that'll change tonight, and then it'll be too late.
Then the phone will ring off the hook.
And then what do you do? I mean, do you show up in the middle of the night? What do you do?
If need be.
Oh, wow.
We're on 24-hour call.
Are you really? Oh, man, that's we got to remind everybody to call you today instead of tonight.
Well, the thing, too, is that customers have a preventative maintenance agreement with us. There's no overtime for nights, weekends, holidays, plus they get discounts.
Well, that's actually a good thing, isn't it? I mean, if you wake up in the middle of the night and it's just, if it gets really cold, I was asking Brandon about this, the little switch that says emergency, that turns on, I think he explained it was a coil or something?
The heat strips.
Is that enough if it gets really cold?
Just the heat strips alone?
Yeah.
Some of them are, yes.
Oh, really? All right, you are getting a call, so let's take the phone call. Again, John Schulte and Russ Ledbetter are here from Climate Control Mechanical Services. Good morning. You're on the air with John and Russ.
Yes, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Say, can you have your air conditioning and heat pump for your yearly service at the same time, both of them?
Depending on the temperature outside, sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
What would be the ideal time of the year and temperature to do that, rather than having two service calls?
65 and below really needs to be for heat, and 65 and above for cooling.
So around 65 you could have it done?
Right.
Okay, so just to pick out at certain time of the year, which there is plenty of times that we do fall into that category, you know.
Right.
But otherwise, you know, everybody, myself and everybody else, we're always getting well, it's time for your air conditioning to be serviced, and then a little later on, 6 months later, it's time for your heat pump to be serviced. You know, I was just wondering if you could, why that couldn't be done all at the same time, you know.
Well, in the summertime, really needs to be done more because of the drain line and stuff like that stopping up in the summertime. Keep from flooding your floors. Yeah,
well, they could check that at any time of the year, right, for flowage.
They can, but yeah, normally when you have mold buildup or blockages in the drain line is in the summer months.
Yeah, but you know, if you keep up every year with your service call, you shouldn't really have that problem.
No, sir. We with our preventive maintenance agreements, we come out twice a year, and you know, check the entire systems, and that would be one of the things that we would check as well.
How does that heat pump work in relationship to the air conditioner? I mean, is it just like a reverse situation?
Right, reverse cycle.
Uh-huh.
And instead of the cooling coil getting cold like in the summertime, it gets super hot in the winter.
Okay. All right, I guess you answered my question, but they both could be serviced if the temperature is somewhere in the middle 60s.
Right, because to check a defrost board on a heat pump, you need to be able to freeze the unit up, and if it's very warm outside or the sun's shining on the unit, you can't freeze it up. Check the defrost board. Yeah,
you know, a lot of times, you know, when it's like, let's say 68 degrees outside, and the wife says, "Hey, I'm kind of chilly. Is it okay to turn that heat pump on at 68 degrees outside to get the house, let's say, up to 72 or 5?
You could do that.
Yeah, that doesn't bother. I mean, if it's that warm, and if it's in the sun, the unit outside.
Right. I mean, even if it runs on heat and it's warm outside, then it's got pressure controls on the outside. If it starts exceeding the pressures, they'll shut it down.
Yeah, yeah. That emergency coil, Is it all right to just turn it on to emergency if you want to get more heat?
Yes, you can.
Because it seems that at a certain temperature, when it goes to a certain temperature, I know you guys discussed this, I think it was last week, heat pumps are kind of useless in a way, you know, and you get down below, let's say 28 degrees or whatever, they seem to run. All they're doing is moving a little cool air around the house.
Right.
And it's okay just to switch right on to the emergency, which is heating elements, right?
Yes, sir.
And I would imagine, of course, that's a little tough on the electric bill, but at least you're warming your house up.
Right.
Right. Okay, well, thank you.
Well, thanks for calling.
Yeah, you bet, yeah. Bye now.
Is there a trick to maybe if you're using it a lot, and I guess if you, like, for example, a large area that you're not living in every room, would it actually cut down on the electric bill if you close some of the vents?
You can do that, but you really don't need cold and hot spots in the house.
Oh, okay. That's a bad idea.
Right.
Yeah, one of the things you can do is put a zone system in where you can actually have thermostats in each area that you want heated or cooled, and there's a damper system. So you could keep one section of your house cool, and if you didn't want cool or heat in another room, the damper would actually shut down the airflow to that room.
Oh, wow. And the damper, what is it, like a dam, so to speak?
It's basically
like a butterfly.
Butterfly valve.
Just open, closes like that in a duct, so it just shuts that duct off when it's satisfied.
Okay, and
it's electronically controlled.
Okay, and so it's got a little motor on it, I guess, huh?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Oh, wow, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And is this something new, or has this been around for a long time?
No,
been out for several years.
Yeah, normally you find it in your I'll say more expensive homes, the more luxury type homes, but with energy conservation and cost of got a call.
We do have a call.
Well, let's take the call.
Good morning. You're on the air with John and Russ.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
I'm getting near that end of the time where I might have to start thinking about replacement. And my question is, if you replace a unit and you're looking at the ducts at the time of replacement, I personally think that the ducts in my house are inferior. And I'm just wondering, can they be updated if you're going to do all that?
Well, absolutely. What normally needs to happen when you're getting an AC replacement, you'll do a manual J calculation, which is your heat load. It depends on the building material of the house, how it's situated. So that calculates your heat load, and then you need to run a manual D, which is actually a duct calculation, to make sure that you have proper cubic feet per minute in the different areas of the house. When we send a salesperson, or a lot of times our technicians sell as well, we physically get up into the attic or under the home or wherever we need to be to actually look at the ductwork, and we take what we call static pressure readings to make sure that the ductwork is adequate for the airflow needed.
Well, I have, when they installed my ductwork, it's all this flexible, looks like shiny coated spiral, giant spiral type duct type of thing. And after a while it starts to sag in a lot of spaces, and then it's, I don't think it's very efficient because there's too many areas where dust or dirt can collect.
Yeah,
the interior construction of the thing.
Well, with the flex ductwork, I mean, the key to it is keeping it as straight as possible. And a lot of new construction, they won't have them, but you can actually put supports under the duct, metal supports under the duct, and then strap it where it won't actually fold and close off the ductwork.
It's more, I think, along the lines of sagging and collapsing. And what would you do for that? If it sort of collapses.
Well, we can replace flex duct, and we can route it properly and strap it, but we also have a full sheet metal shop. We build custom ductwork. We can build round duct, square duct. We can build 12-inch duct, or we can build duct big enough that you can walk in.
Oh, wow.
So that sounds like a good deal.
Yeah.
My only other question being, if you construct I had another home where we did have the metal ducting, and it was hot air heat, and it was easy to put an air conditioning unit there because the ducts were there, and it just seemed except the cold air was also coming out the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I guess, worked out all right as far as I'm concerned, because you know, it was comfortable in the house. We were able to maintain a cool temperature even though it was 100 degrees out. So.
Right.
But what I'm getting at is that ductwork was in the basement. Now, you're going to put ductwork there. Doesn't it have to be insulated some way or the other, or how do you do that? Insulation as you're installing it, or wrap it with insulation?
Right. There's internally lined, which actually has looks like a felt type insulation, or there's externally wrapped, and we can do either as well.
Yeah, my theory is if it's nice and smooth on the inside, that's what you really would want, so it would make it a lot easier to run something through the duct to push whatever dust or accumulation has gotten up there.
Right. And then, you know, again, that's another service we offer. We have a duct cleaning. We offer duct cleaning. We have about a $20,000 piece of equipment that we can clean any type of duct work. Again, anything from a 12-inch flex to a, I don't know, 4x4 metal ductwork that you could walk through. We use it quite a bit.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I'll continue to listen, and you have a very informative program, and thank you, WOCA.
Well, thanks for calling.
Thank you. So with a dirty duct system, what kind of problems would that create if it wasn't clean? Would it strain? Okay, that's a good one. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the indoor air quality. There's mold, there's spores, there's allergies. And then there's the efficiency of the unit. If you're not changing your filters regularly, the internal ductwork is dirty. Then you're going to clog your evaporator coil. And then you lose your efficiency in cooling.
So if there's dirt in the ductwork, does that mean there's a filter not working somewhere?
It just means that the dirt's passing through the filter.
Just getting past it.
Right.
That, or you may have actually sections of ductwork that aren't sealed properly, and it's on the return side. It's actually pulling dirt into the ductwork. And
what I'm going to tell you what happens with mine, and you tell me what you think. Just with talking, it's kind of hard without looking at it. But if I put a higher priced filter into mine, it seems like the air conditioner's working harder. And if I put a cheaper one, it's got more porousness. It seems like it's moving smoother. Is there what do you think is going on?
The more expensive filters restricts a lot of the airflow, so it will run longer also.
So I always am confused if that's a good thing. It seems like I'm straining it when I put
But it does clean air.
It cleans the air.
It will put a minimal load on it, but again, we measure static pressure, which is basically it is the pressure of the air pushing against the internal ductwork.
Right.
If your static pressure is too high, then we would have a filtration problem, and there are things that can be done to fix it. But your high efficiency filtration systems, they really do make a huge difference. I have one in my home, and I have hardwood floors, and prior to me putting it in, we were having to dust mop the floor probably every other day.
Oh, really?
And we do it maybe once a week now.
Oh, well, that's a big difference.
Let me rephrase that. I do it once a week. Sorry, hon.
All right, let's go back to the phone. Good morning. You're on there with John Schulte and Russ Ledbetter.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
This is Dennis. My home is built in 2003, and the contractor, he kind of a selling point, pounded himself on the back type thing. He says, when I have your house built, I had it built, he said, I'm going to put air returns in every room. And I look up in my attic, and I mean, there's just, you can't even hardly go into my attic because there's air returns everywhere. But my question is, they're only about 4.5 to 5 feet apart. And say the master bedroom, the supply and the return, wouldn't it have been smarter to put them further apart?
He's saying.
Because it seems to me like the supply would just get sucked right back into the return.
Oh, I hear. Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. Yeah.
It should be further apart. The way I look at it, yes.
Yeah, normally we try to put them on basically catty corner or opposite ends of the room.
That's what I would have thought.
Yeah. I mean, I recently purchased a home, and my home's the same way. There's probably 5 feet between the supply and the return, and I had the same exact thought. So As soon as we get a lull, I'm going to have the guys come out of the house and reroute it for me.
Oh, really?
To return somewhere else.
Yes, sir.
On the opposite side of the room. To me, that way you would benefit by the cold air going from one place to the other.
Exactly.
But the thing seems to do very well on my electricity bill. Is way in it's a very efficient home.
Mm-hmm.
But I just looked at that and thought,
yeah, I mean,
I would have done it different, but
maybe side by side's not the best idea, but the fact that you do have a return in each room is going to make your system much more effective.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So he was on the right track.
Another question, you talked about putting metal ducts. Would that be in the attic where the heat is?
Yeah, I mean, currently you probably have round flex duct.
Oh, I do, but you was talking about building metal ducts, and it seems to me like since metal transfers heat so well that if you had a hot attic, because it gets very, very hot up there, and cold air going through, it seems like there would be a loss there without insulation.
Oh, they're externally wrapped, so we with insulation.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense then, because that lasts forever.
And the thing is, too, you get better airflow because the hard pipe or the metal pipe is straight.
The surface friction of the air going through it.
Exactly.
I understand that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
So it was with the intake and all over the house. Is that overkill? Is that more than you really need?
As far as the returns in every room?
Yeah, the returns. I'm sorry.
No, not really. I mean, a lot of houses without it, if you can picture it, they have supplies in each room, and then they have one return that's either near the garage where the air handler is. So you're having to pull this air all the way from one end of the home through the home to the air handler again. So it's much more effective to circulate the air from each room.
And maybe that's why his electric bill is so reasonable.
It probably does have something to do with it.
So you got the same thing.
I do.
You'd have more even heating and cooling through the house that way, too.
That's
true. You
true.
wouldn't have cold and hot spots that much in each room.
Yeah. Do you guys work with mobile homes, double wides that are... No, not at all.
No. I'm saying, I'm saying in my head, we work on anything.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Absolutely. We sell package units. We do duct work.
And in that case, the ductwork is underneath, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most mobile homes have built-in metal ductwork in the flooring system.
Okay.
But the transition from the AC unit to that ductwork is flex. That's what you see, the flex, the plastic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
But yes, we do it.
Yeah. And going back to kind of where I started at the beginning, if somebody was listening right now and they said, well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't tried it yet, although it was cold a few weeks ago. If they turned it on right now and tried to test the heat and it didn't come on, is it like could we call you today, or how much time frame should we give you?
We normally try to
get over right away.
We try to stick to less than a 2-hour response time.
Especially if somebody's broke completely down. If they don't have any heat or any cool, whatever.
Does the temperature that comes out stay the same? I mean, I know the temperature in the room is regulated by the thermostat, but the actual temperature that is being pumped out, or whether it's hot or cold, is like when you take the thermometer and put it right at the source. Is it always the same?
No.
No.
It's within, I mean, as a house cools down, like in the summertime, as it cools down, then temperature coming out of the grill is going to be cooler. If it's hot in the house, then it's going to be a big load on the unit, then the air is going to be a little bit warmer until it cools down.
Okay, and I was asking to try to figure out if there was a way that we could maybe diagnose our system. Like if I went home right now and turned it on heat, and put a thermometer right there at the vent, should it read 80, or what should it read?
About 95, 98.
Oh, it
depending
should.
on the temperature inside the house. I mean, if you got a big load on it, then it's gonna be even be cooler than that.
Okay.
And that, again, that's another benefit of having the returns in each room. It's more uniform cooling. Because if you have a single run, let's say from your garage to your master bedroom at the end, it's going to pick up heat in the attic, whether it's wrapped under a mobile home. It's just the distance it has to travel. So again, if you have returns in every room, it's a more balanced load.
And looks like we have another phone call. John Schulte and Russ Ledbetter again are here just to reintroduce them, and they are from Climate Control Mechanical Services, explaining what they do to make sure that you stay cool when it's hot out and warm when it's cold out, which is coming tonight. Good morning. You're on the air with Russ and John.
Good morning. This is Sonny calling back. In reference to the AC units, on the newer units, so let's say we have like what's going to happen, we're going to have a super cold night tonight. Would you, or even if it's super hot out, the blower motor, multiple speed blower motors would be more advantageous or more economical to have than just a standard speed? And I'm just curious as to about what you guys would think is the most optimum or best wish list type of affair for central system. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. What do you think?
Well, your variable speed air handlers usually are connected to the SEER rating of your AC unit. The SEER rating is a seasonal energy efficiency ratio. So the higher the SEER rating, the more energy efficient the unit is. One of the ways, and they're more cost effective because of their lack of, or their lower use of electricity. One of the ways that they are able to obtain the lower use of electricity is a variable speed motor. In a conventional system, you turn your unit on, the air handler blows at whatever speed it may be constantly. With a variable speed air handler, as the space starts to be satisfied as far as cooling or heating, the blower motor actually can either ramp up or ramp down. So as the space gets satisfied, the blower motor would slow down and there would be less electrical use. So
has technology changed? I mean, this is kind of a question based on what it looks like from a layperson's observation, but like the thermostats have changed drastically from when I was a kid. Does it actually improve the efficiency of the system? The newer
thermostats?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yes. So can we call, like, could you come over and just say, well, you know, your air conditioner's working fine, but you got a 1965, you know, thermostat?
Well, there's programs too. There's $25 rebate for programmable thermostats. They can save you up to 20% in your utility bills by either programming, you know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are a lot of advantages to it.
Yeah, we got another phone call. Good morning. You're on the air with John and Russ.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. Again, I have another quick question. I'll have to be updating very shortly too with newer air. I live in a ranch. It's kind of like what I would call a stretched out ranch. It's 3,200 under roof. Would it be more feasible to like go with 2 units? Right now I got a 4-ton, 1 4-ton, but that one back end of the house, you know, never gets as cool as the other side. Would it be almost more feasible to go with like 2-ton units rather than one big 4-ton, or what would be ideas on that?
Well, the problem with that is with 2-ton units, you'd have to reduct a lot of your duct work.
Okay.
What I would suggest, again, is they run a manual J, which is a load calculation, and the manual D, and its averages, I don't know, maybe $200. They have that done.
Okay, what exactly is that?
Manual J is a heat load calc. So basically, they look at the house, the square footage, how it's positioned, what kind of windows, what kind of insulation, and it calculates how many BTUs are needed to cool or heat the home.
Okay.
And then the manual D is the duct calculation. So you need a certain amount of cubic feet per minute per room. Yeah. And the duct calculations will tell you what you need.
Yeah, yeah.
More than, if you do that, I would probably say you'd be okay with the single unit, just as long as it's matched properly.
Yeah. Is there such a thing, like, let's say, with going with one large unit and then somewhere in the center part of the house having another blower to move the air through?
You could, but again, if the manual D is done correctly, and the ductwork is configured correctly, that should not be an issue. But you can get pusher fans, yes.
Yeah, okay. It's not uncommon to have that then, huh?
Yeah, we see them every once in a while. Especially the longer,
that's what I have,
narrow buildings,
stretched out ranch type home. Okay, well, thanks again for your answer.
All right, thank you.
You bet. Bye now.
You know, I don't know. I like to make sure the questions are kind of relatable to everybody, but I have a specific one about this business, and I'm guessing other people have heat generating equipment. Now, we don't really have it here in the studio,
right?
But like at the transmitter site, there's a heat producing piece of equipment, which is the the transmitter. That needs to be cool.
Right.
Another station I worked for had the air conditioner go out at the transmitter site, and we weren't on the air. That's how sensitive it was. When there is heat producing equipment, it's obviously making the air conditioner stay on and on regardless of how cold it is outside. It's hot in there, or it will be if that air conditioner breaks down. Is that when you do, I guess it would be a business application, do you have to kind of analyze that and kind of, in order to make a decision about the unit itself that needs to be in there?
Yeah, absolutely. My prior to my HVAC career, my career was information technology. I was vice president of IT for a bank, and we have huge server rooms. Now you're talking millions of dollars worth of data, so it was super critical to have cooling systems and redundant cooling systems. But if somebody's like building a server room now or planning one, heat loads are an absolute must. How much? Because any computer equipment produces heat. So how much heat is that room going to generate? So that is it's critical to properly cool a space, especially heat.
So in your job, and I know from Brenda that you work with the hospitals, so that must be an example of that. I'm sure they've got lots of heat-producing equipment in there, right?
Absolutely. MRI machines, computer rooms.
Oh, wow. So if we contract with you guys in order to keep our heat-producing equipment areas cool, we've got to make sure you know everything we're using so you can give us the right recommendation.
Oh, absolutely. Normally, we do commercial maintenance agreements. And, it's not just a matter of saying, I've got this many square feet, and I tell you it's going to be, this amount of money.
Right.
We actually send somebody out. We walk the facility. We look at heat loads. We look at insulation.
Yeah.
Here's an example. We had a client in town that was having a long, narrow building, and the other end of the building would not get cool. Long after a lot of investigation, we found out that he had the building painted, and somebody had painted all the soffits under the roof. So there was no airflow.
Oh no, I got you. Yeah.
So I mean, one company may have gone in and said, "Well, you need new systems, and we need." We do our due diligence. We really look hard to find out what the issue is.
So they do poke a hole in all those painted over holes.
Well, I actually had to replace the.
Had to replace it.
Yeah. And we installed some roof exhaust fans for them as well.
Oh wow, it's amazing how much we don't know about stuff we don't do. And when you guys come in here, it's just. There's so many questions that we have. And this is tonight's a good example of when you thought you moved to Florida and you didn't need a heater. Well, you will tonight. Where would we call you if we needed some help or if we wanted to maybe get a maintenance contract? How would we do that?
You can go to our website, ocalaair.com, or give us a call at 291-0185.
Okay, it's ocalaair.com?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and tell me the phone number again.
352-291-0185.
0185. And I believe Robin already has that information on the WOCA.com website on the guest list for AM Ocala Live. You'll see today's date at 10:35. You'll see climate control, mechanical services, and the phone numbers. I don't think ocalaair.com is on there, though. So, well, John Schulte, nice to meet you. Who's John again? You're John. You're John Schulte and Russ Ledbetter. I'll get to know you. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming in. Good show.
Thanks for having us.
We'll take a little break and be right back.